In a desperate bid to secure more views on my channel, I'm finally doing some openings. To start off with, we'll be doing my favorite Roy Lopez, the main line, which is the Chigorin variation. And I will start off with how this position comes about. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, the Spanish Roy Lopez, knight f6, castles. You can take or you can play bishop e7, the main line. There are some other options as well, which I'll be covering later. Rook e1, b5, bishop b3, and d6. So the main idea here is to play knight a5, trying to target the light square bishop. Since it's an open position, the two bishops could be really important if black could manage to get this light square bishop. So white plays c3, creating a square for that bishop. Then we have castles, and white would love to play d4, but there is bishop g4 maintaining a pretty good pin. So white starts off with h3, knight a5, bishop c2, and c5. This is the Chigorin variation with knight a5 and then c5. How must white play? I think the next move is obvious. You should strike the center with d4. No surprises there. A question comes about after the move queen c7. We'll be looking at some other options as well, like knight d7 or what if black takes the pawn. But the queen c7 is the main line, which is what I want to look at first. Queen c7 asks white a good question. Does white want to continue developing with knight d2, or does white want to close the center with d5? This has been a debate for a very long time, and the answer to this debate is that both moves are good. d5 is objectively the best. Knight d2 also offers a slight advantage, but knight d2 is more forced. So knight d2 offers less advantage, but it's more forced. d5 is less forced, but offers more advantage. Okay, so let's start off with knight d2. Let's see the forced variation. In this situation, black is more or less forced to capture on d4. If he does not, then he will be in some sort of trouble, which I'll show you in a moment. Let's say he captures. Pawn captures, and black's whole plan is to play knight c6 now. Since the pawn does not stand on c3 and I have captured, black knight can jump onto b4. Okay, so I play knight b3, defending the pawn. Let's say a5, trying to attack the b3 knight with a4. White develops the bishop, a4, knight d2, knight b4, and finally the bishop goes to b1. The idea is that eventually we'll kick away this a3 knight and then we'll have a good position, because it's not very clear what black's pieces do here. Black plays bishop d7, trying to connect the rooks. a3, knight c6 back, bishop d3, attacking the weak pawn. Rook b8, and now queen e2. So this is the whole plan, this construction with these pieces here. Putting pressure on b5 is exactly why white is able to get advantage, not to mention the c file, which will be controlled very soon. Queen b7, rook c1, h6, and the simplest way to get a slight advantage for white here is to take on e5. I am following a game of Vasily Ivanchuk here, in which game he played rook c2. The best move is absolutely to take on e5. And the reason is because after knight takes e5, pawn takes e5, bishop c5, black has two weaknesses to deal with, the pawn on e5 and the pawn on b5. And this is why this line offers white a slight advantage. Now, you may ask, why was it necessary to take on d4, right? It's a completely valid question. Suppose we have something else, right? Suppose you were to play a move like knight d7, and you do not take. In this case, what can happen is I can play knight f1. And if you now tried the same plan, you sort of notice that my bishop will never go to b1 because my knight can come to e3 to always defend the c2 bishop. And that is a really good idea for me, right? So suppose you played a move like bishop b7, and I am very pleased to play knight e3 because I can counter both d5 and f5 squares, giving me a slight advantage. So this is the story of the knight d2 move. Going back to the original position, I told you that more advantage is promised by the move d5. Why is that? The purpose of the move d5 is to take away the c6 square from the knight. And so if this knight is not able to come into the game, of course intuitively we see that black should have some advantage. And I claim here that the best move for black is to play knight c4, reroute the knight back to b6. If you play a move like knight d7, I want to stop you from doing this maneuver, so what is the move white should play? The answer is simply b3, and the knight is stuck. After this, we could have knight b6, knight d2, bishop d7, knight f1. Suppose you try to bring your knight back into the game with knight b7. I could just play knight g3, and after a move like c4, b4, a5, all I want to do is to play knight f5. If you take, I take, and now I have a very nice idea with knight h2, queen h5, knight g4, all my pieces are coming into the attack, and I will be winning the game. Not winning, but I'll have a big advantage. Okay, coming back to the original position, after d5, you have to play the move knight c4. Now knight c4, of course I'm going to kick you away with b3, and you go knight b6. Since your knight is still on f6, it's closer to the king side, I am not going to launch an attack there just yet. What I am going to do is try a different plan with bishop e3 and a4, attacking on the queen side because your knight is still on the king side. Bishop e3, bishop d7, and now there comes my move a4. This is the game of Taba Tabai which we are following. And it turns out black's position is very difficult because the pieces are not coordinated. I know they are together, but these knights are not helping each other. The bishops are not helping each other. So black is positionally a bit worse. After a4, if you take, I take back, knight c4, I am happy to go back to c1 because what I have achieved is a situation in which the b file is open and b6 square is weak. So suppose after a move like rook b8, I play queen e2, forcing your knight back to a5, and now we see the purpose of keeping the knight on b1, which is to play knight a3. Now it is this knight which will go to d2 and to c4, covering these two squares. Suppose I was able to eliminate this knight, my other knight comes to c4, I can play a5, going on to b6, and even putting pressure on d6, which I might add on to with f4. I hope you understand what I mean. This knight will go to c4, then I want to play a5, install a knight on b6. Additionally, I want to play f4. So knight a3, black played c4, and eventually white had a big advantage and white managed to convert this game. I will attach the PGN below and you can see how that happened. White was much better here. Coming back to the alternatives for black after queen c7, you can try a move like knight d7, but now you can notice what the best move should be. You want to restrict this knight again, and therefore the best move is again d5. We will follow similar ideas with queen c7. We'll go knight d2, knight f1. Since the knight is on d7, it's not close to the king. We should therefore try to attack the king, and we'll play normal chess. The final option you want to look at is cd4. What happens if black takes immediately on d4? In this case, we are going to recapture and say the whole purpose for black was to capture again. Then I can just take with the knight, bishop d7, knight c3, rook e8, and again the key move b3. The plan is again to, get this beautiful diagonal. There is a d6 weakness on the board. White again has a very pleasant position. So this is why Chigorin variation with knight a5 is not that popular anymore. Everywhere white has a slight edge. I have shown you all the key ideas. For example, after knight d7, this key idea with d5, taking away the square. Since the knight is offside, now you're going to get your pieces onto the king side and start an attack there. If the knight stays there, then we'll go into the queen c7 variation, in which case we were looking at the move d5, knight c4, b3, knight b6, and then we start our plan with the queen side expansion. So that's basically what there is to learn about the Chigorin variation. If you believe I have missed a variation, do let me know. I'll add it to the PGN file below. And if you like this video, do let me know in the comments because I can then make a full Royal Lopez course if you'd like. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.